we go.
Live from the Green Room Studios, from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. Ooh. David Bates, it seems like the old radio days when we came on at 8 o'clock, but we didn't actually start broadcasting until 8:09 or 8:07. Depending upon how the top of the hour news went. And I guess Doug Markham was trying to get caught up on commercials during that break. What do you think?
Yeah, he might have been, Josh, but yes, this is a life in the real world where you're streaming a program. Occasionally, there are technical difficulties, and today was one of those days. Tyler, thank you for hanging in there. Our Tyler Blankenship, thank you so much for all of your duties. We wouldn't be on the air this morning were it not for him, but
technical duties.
The
unplug it, plug it in, turn it off, turn it on. We got it working.
You know, David Bates, it got cold last night. What in the world did you order for this weekend?
Uh-oh. David got a frog in his throat.
You got a frog? Sure did.
Yeah.
It's overcast and rainy. It's really cold. It's windy. It's nasty. It's slimy outside. Mm-hmm. You had frost on your windshield, I understand, Miss Caroline.
Yes, I did. I was surprised. Took a photo. I was a little upset by that. Not ready.
Well, you got to build in that time this time of the year for the scrapage, as we called it at our house.
I didn't have to scrape, though. It came right off, but still, it was a shock to see that.
Well, you know, Saturday, it's going to clear up a little bit, I think. You know, I think we might get a little bit of stuff in the morning, and then it's going to be cold, and then tomorrow we're probably going to have a really cold football game. It's going to be nice, though, sunny. Everything's going to be going on. Going into Monday, mostly sunny. It's still going to be cold. Then Tuesday, we got some showers coming in. AM, and then, all the way through the week, it's going to be wintertime, it looks like. So, I mean, highs in the 40s. I'm not real happy with that. And look at that potpourri of colors that we have crossing to the north of us in particular.
It looks like more like no-potpourri to me.
Yeah, it does.
That doesn't look like it's happy. And
no, not a fan.
We'll check what the weather currently is in Warroad, Minnesota, because that's where I understand it is usually the coldest place on the planet at any given time. But they're expecting a lot of stuff, and we'll see what's going on. Hey, we're going to continue on with the show because I think we've lost an audio feed on David's microphone, but we're gonna keep rolling through and see what's going on. And with that having been said, we're going to introduce everybody. Of course, we've already met Tyler this morning.
Hi.
There he is.
And there's
My voice is still here. I'm so
Caroline and Austin are over there at the we don't call it the kiddie table anymore.
We've graduated from the kiddie table
to the auxiliary table, and there's a bunch of beautiful stuff out in front of it. Don't think those are outside plants for the most part, but we're going to come back and we'll talk about those. But Caroline, did we get any questions this week from Instagram?
We did get some questions. Are we ready to dive into them? those?
why don't we dive in? We'll just jump right
All
in.
right. Our first question of the morning.
Uh-huh.
Best native flowering plants that deer might not eat. Ooh. Austin's excited about this one.
You know, I've been talking to some people around where I live, and deer are crazy right now. I've got like 100. I mean, they're everywhere. They're just moving. I guess the bucks are in rut, and they are out and about doing their thing. So deer are all over the place. And also, deer are not very picky when it comes to plants. They'll eat a lot of things, and especially our natives. That's kind of the whole point. I mean, our native, flora is what deer typically, or any animal, is going to want to eat. So it's kind of a tricky question when it comes to natives that deer won't actually eat. Gosh, what's a good one? I mean, Joe Pye weed. I don't know that they eat that. Ironweed gets really tall.
Right.
I don't think they would mess with that too much when it's in bloom anyway, because whenever it's in bloom, they're like 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall. So a little bit hard for a deer to get at. But, when you plant natives, you kind of do that for a reason. We want to feed the wildlife and the insects and the birds and, do all those good things with our natives. So it's kind of part of it. So there you go. Not the greatest answer, but it's something.
It seems like they'll snack on anything. They're going to give everything a try.
Well, and all the old tricks that you have to really keep in mind are the motion sensors for the sprinklers, but I don't think the deer really get bothered by those. And they'll pepper. I don't know that it is particularly effective either, especially after a rain like we're going to have today.
Yeah, it can be effective, I know, but it's something you have to reapply a number of times. So maybe even like 2 or 3 times a month, you've got to kind of, do the repellents, because they can, like you said, Josh, they can wear off with rain or whatever. So you got to keep on that if you really want to keep them off. But
I mean, you can plant poisonous plants.
There you go.
They're not going to eat those, at least not for long. I know foxglove is poisonous. Not sure if it's native, though.
But they'll...
no, I don't think so.
But I have heard from some of my hunter friends that there are predator urines that are available that you may be able to put out. I got a feeling that they're going to be one of those things that you're probably going to have to put it on a rag maybe and hang it from the fence or hang it from something. So that'd be real pretty.
It's going to be a look right
That'd be
there.
pretty, and it'll smell so good.
Yeah, but it'll keep the deer off. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next one is more of just a request that I wanted to read as opposed to a question. Not really about plants, but when can we expect more Bates movies? I'm going to need some more. Tyler and I have one in the works right now. We have a couple holiday ones coming up. So just be on the lookout. I'm not sure when we'll release our next one, but it does involve canned food, and Ben's going to be back at it. So
Well, we may have some trailers come up as well.
Yeah.
The Brass Monkey Studios has been into a long labor disagreement, as we say. So, I mean, and back and forth between the home office and Groom Lake. So, I mean, we've kind of been some things, but we may come up with something as well.
so many movies.
Well, they're just trailers. I mean,
So many
they're
trailers.
teasers, because, we've had lots of stuff in the can at Brass Monkey, but none of it's ever seen the light of day. Maybe we need to get Corey Pollard now. Corey he's got a show coming out here too. Get Corey to come in there and executive produce it. Maybe drop a no, never mind. Corey actually said a bad word on the at-home show.
Uh-oh.
Yes, he
I
did.
don't know Corey, but
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He did. He said a bad word. He said the good bad word.
it
too.
happens sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to teach kids, and I'd really have to watch my mouth. And one time, I didn't do a good job of it, but it was fine.
Fudge sickle. Okay.
It wasn't that bad. All right, so moving on to our next question. This is a good question. We bring it up from time to time on the At Home show, and I feel like it's something that needs discussing quite often. Do I need to mulch around the base of my trees in preparation for the winter?
That is a good question.
Yes, it is. Take it away, Austin.
All right, mulch is a good thing, but can also be a bad thing. So we just need to know how to apply it. It is certainly a good practice to put mulch around your trees or newly planted shrubs. It adds for some water retention. It kind of keeps the water where you want it. It also keeps a little bit warmer down below, just a nice little layer of insulation, if you will. But one thing we need to know is to not put mulch right around the stem of your tree specifically, or the stems of a shrub. It doesn't really matter. You just need it off of that main stem a little bit. And people ask me why, and it, a lot of times too, we typically have a warranty here on all of our plants for a year. And whenever people bring stuff back that's dead, most of the time, especially with trees, what I see is that they'll have either dirt or mulch up on that stem, like 5 or 6 inches, like a lot, like right around the main stem. You can just see where it used to be. And that's typically the problem with that. What you're going to see moisture that stays around that stem. So it keeps it like soft, and it eventually just ends up rotting away. Another problem is that it's a spot for insect activity to kind of hang out and linger around the main stem. So yes, definitely good practice to put some mulch down, but keep it at least 2 to 3 inches off of that main stem, and you'll see a lot better results from that. You keep it on the stem, you're going to see bad results. So mulch, but not too tight.
I made the mistake of, here's a story I'm going to tell you where you're going to judge me really, really harshly. Before I started working at Bates, I've always been into plants, but more indoor plants and, smaller things, not trees and shrubs. And when I bought my house, I was like, I'm going to make this garden bed around this redbud tree. That was already, I think it was already on its way out. So I got some rocks, I put them around it, I piled up soil in it, and in 2 years that tree fell over because I had killed it from all of that soil and probably just making lots of, creating lots of problems with that.
And you could have just as easily, if you'd had any rocks extra, just make a perimeter around the tree as well, and just make a ring as opposed to the entire circle. I've got a situation. I'm going to do some shade gardening under my 2 redbuds, and I just need to find some more rocks that match the original rocks, because some people don't like that kind of stuff, and some people don't actually read their texts. Okay.
There's a fairy in the room.
Did that red button, did it actually fall down?
Yeah, it fell over.
Yeah,
we had a storm yes, it's still down in my yard. And I was about to say last year it happened. So now you know how long that tree's been down in my yard. I have been slowly breaking it up. But yeah, we had a storm come through with fairly strong winds, but not strong enough to blow a tree down. And I woke up and that tree was laying across my front yard. All right. Can Norfolk Island pines live outside in Tennessee? No, they cannot. And I'm glad you asked this question, because I have one in a pot that I left on my front porch last night. So I will be checking that to see if it's still alive when I get home. They can tolerate a little bit of cold weather, but now's the time to have them inside. They're starting to come into garden centers. We just got a big shipment of them 2 days ago. So you'll see them, but they are not a plant that you can plant outside that can tolerate our winters here. So you need to keep them inside. One thing that I really like about them is surprisingly they can tolerate low light. I think it's because the way they were brought up in nurseries and greenhouses, they're under diffused lighting, so they're not getting a lot of direct sun. Now, with that being said, they absolutely can get direct sun if you acclimate them to that. But for mine, I keep it in like a low light area. It doesn't grow a lot, but it does great. And with that low light, I don't have to water it very often.
They're amazing in Hawaii outside. They grow them as like we do white pines here.
They're gorgeous. Yeah. I have a friend that has one that's probably it's at least 7 feet tall that she's had for a really long time. And she sticks it out by her pool in the summer, and it's getting full sun all day. So they're kind of like a Dracaena, where they're very versatile when it comes to lighting. So, but no, so sorry, it cannot live outside here.
Although, like you just said, like one night of the cold, like they can take that. It's not going to die. It might see a little bit of damage, but I've seen them get. Who was that?
David?
Was somebody?
Hey, I decided to get over my laryngitis.
Yay!
Hey!
There's that voice.
Yeah, well, I was, I couldn't clear my throat. The problem was.
Somebody said you were talking out the other end.
Dealing with our many technical issues we've had this morning, it has been it's been a little bit challenging.
But, it hasn't just been raining outside this morning, that's for sure.
Let's do something here quickly while everything is working to make sure that we are going properly here. Let's talk about Earth Mix Garden Products. And what we've got with Earth Mix Garden Products is the best line of organic soils and amendments that are available anywhere. And if you want to have the best success with your plants, Well, you got to insist on Earth Mix. Now, you can't get it just anywhere. Go out to the website, earthmix.net, and click on the Find Earth Mix tab. And there you're going to see the entire network of all the dealers around the area, both in Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, Ohio, and wherever they may be. You can simply put an address in up here and click on it to get turn-by-turn directions, or you can simply mouse over one. There's Greenfield Plant Farm. There's Payado Garden Center. So check out some of those folks. And what you're going to find out is that Earth Mix Garden Products gives you something for your plants that regular soils just can't deliver. And that's real organic fertility. Now, Earth Mix Garden Products are not sold as fertilizers, but your plants don't know that. Your plants really appreciate the levels of mycorrhiza fungi, both endo and ecto, by the way, Josh, and humic acid.
That's good on a cracker.
I don't know about that, but your plants
Pita
like
bread?
it in the soil. So whether you're using Earth Mix Supernatural, Earth Mix Garden, Proganics O, Landscape, all those products feature additional amounts of endo and ecto mycorrhiza fungi, as well as other products. So check all those out. You can go to the products tab at earthmix.net. And remember, this success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden Products. And appreciate you guys bearing with our technical difficulties this morning and giving us an opportunity to talk to you today. So here we are.
Yes, we
Take it
are.
away, Josh.
Here we are. Okay. Are there any vegetables I can put in the ground now, or is it too late? Huh.
It's too late, y'all. It's cold.
It's cold. It's too cold.
This week it's getting cold. I'm talking 20s, like low 20s. I'm seeing as some overnight lows. It is cold to be setting anything out. Now, there's a number of things that if you've already planted them, they can be fine through this. But covering may be the way to go. You know, I got a buddy who just started vegetable gardening this year, and he got super into it. And he has some brassicas, which are the cold crops. So your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, all that good stuff. And he's got them in raised beds right now, and he's got some in the ground. And he was talking to me about the cold weather coming up. And I said, well, you might want to think about doing something about it, because low 20s is cold. You know, those plants can take it in the 30s and even, you know, freezing temperatures for a night and be fine. But if you're talking about low 20s, that is cold. So he went and got himself some PVC, and he made some little hoops over his raised beds, and he's got some plastic that he's going to put on top of it and seal it up on these cold nights. And I think his plants are going to be fine. He was asking me, they're starting to head out on them, so there's got little bitty tiny broccoli heads on it.
Oh.
And cauliflower, all of them really. And he asked me, you know, how long do you think it's going to be till they finish? And I said, well, that kind of just depends on the weather. The cold weather really slows down that production of that head, so it might still be a month. So he's going to have to, you know, prepare, and he has, and he's gotten his plastic up, and everything's ready to roll. So, you know, I would recommend y'all doing that if you have stuff that's in the ground or in raised beds right now to keep it protected. But no, unfortunately, we're not going to be planting anything right now. It's about done with that. Now, there's some things you can do with preparation in your garden. If you wanted to do, say, like a cover crop, you know, you could drop down some annual ryegrass to kind of keep your garden green over the winter time, and you know, help out with weeds getting in there and all that good stuff. Or like crimson clover, you could maybe drop some of that seed and get it to come up.
That's gorgeous too.
It really is. Yeah. It's nitrogen fixating, so it, you know, put some of that back in your dirt. But nope, sorry, no more planting right now. Done.
I would say a cautionary statement regarding the plastic is that, and it will do a lot towards helping to give protection on these cold nights. But what can also do, if left on there and closed up during the daylight hours and the sun gets on it, is it can heat it over much. So you've got to be apprised of that. You need to be monitoring it. You're going to have to pull up the ends enough to allow ventilation to occur so that it doesn't build up excessive heat. You really don't want it to get hotter than about 60 or 70 degrees in there. And even that's a little high when you're going through these cold nighttime temperatures. So be very mindful of that. You can't leave it covered up and go off to work. You're going to have to figure out how to, you know, pin up your plastic enough on there to create some airflow and place for that heat to escape.
Think about think about the door on a pup tent. Maybe a way that you could actually, just slit it down the middle and tie them up.
Some of those big clamps that you can use for tarps and that kind of thing, where you could clamp it right onto the PVC pipe and just pull a corner up and clamp it on there, will do a lot to help give you a way to allow that excessive heat to escape there, because you can cook them all in one day. So you don't want to save them from the nighttime cold and then cook them during the daytime. So just be mindful.
Too soon to cook them. They're not ready. All right. Advice on removing a very old, very large holly. I have one.
Get somebody else to do it?
Yeah. That's the first step.
Oh, gosh.
Big, very old, large hollies are not fun to dig up. I mean, almost impossible by hand. Let's just start there. I mean, you can try, but they've got a root system that's unbelievable, and their main stem is so sturdy and strong. I think one of the most misplanted plants on earth is hollies, and especially big, large hollies that people wanted to put on the corner of their homes. Not the good spot for holly, y'all. We got other options now that are better than that, because they just get too big. You got to trim them too much. They shoot like crazy, and they just not the right spot. But if you do want to dig them up, you're probably going to need a machine. And like Josh said, hire somebody to do it, because they are. I mean, you can even cut it. You can clear cut it with a chainsaw to the ground, but then you've got that stump in there. It is no joke. I'm telling y'all, it is no joke. It is very, very hard work. So if you can get somebody to come out with a tractor or some sort of backhoe attachment and get them out like that, then do it that way. And also be mindful of, if it is really close to your home, getting that thing up with the roots really close, you could damage some stuff on the home. So, just be careful. But first things first, don't plant a holly on the corner of your home.
No.
Don't do it.
Or don't do it.
No, don't do it. Never.
Yeah, I have a holly. Luckily, it's at the end of my driveway. It's very far from my house. When I bought the house, I noticed a stump with the previous owner had cut some very large tree down. And then I noticed some shoots coming up from the ground, and I kept cutting them back. And then I gave up, and now it's about as tall as I am. And that took about 4 years.
Yeah, it does. It takes no time.
It's going to eat that driveway.
You can cut it to the dirt. It's coming right back.
Yeah, that's what they did. It was all the way flush to the ground. And I was like, well, I guess there was a beautiful dead tree here once. And I guess it was alive at one time.
It's amazing how big that caliper will be at the ground too on somebody.
It's massive.
Yeah, and the roots down below are no different. Nope. They're like the same caliper, which is crazy.
Yep. The big mistake I see when people are going to take one out, they think they're doing a really good job, Josh, by cutting it down close to the ground, but you're making it impossible almost without using a backhoe or some kind of a large piece of equipment to dig out. If you leave,
you got to have some leverage on it when you're working.
Leave a stump up there at least, and where you can get a chain around it. That way, a big truck, I've even recommended people get a wrecker to come in there and just simply pull it out with that. That will work pretty well. But don't cut it off down to the ground, because then you made it impossible almost. It's really tough.
And the wrecker doesn't mess up your yard.
Yeah.
Well, it can use set it to the side if it's right there by the driveway, which it likely is when it's been planted too close to the house. That's the big mistake that are made with landscaping and corner plants, is that they're frequently planted in relation to the size that they appear to currently be, as opposed to what they will ultimately be. And these plants are very much going to get large. So you just got to be mindful of that when you plant them, and give yourself some room on the corners, particularly the corner that might be beside the driveway.
Hey, we got a Bates Facebook page question from Alita. I believe it's Alita. Is it too late to plant bulbs?
What time is it?
LEDs? No.
Nope.
That was worse than the 3:30 joke, Josh.
Okay.
By worse, I mean amazing and great.
Okay.
But Alita, it is time. Let's get to it. It is time to plant your bulbs. You could have already done it at this point, but it's certainly not too late. Bulbs are fine with the cold, especially the ones we're selling now, your daffodils and your tulips mainly. They're all ready to go. So, and we've got a lot of them right now still. So get the bulbs in the dirt. People forget about the bulbs. Anywhere you got holes in your landscape, adding in bulbs is really a good little thing to do. The daffodils, when they come up in the early spring, it's just like the start of spring. It's like everyone's getting excited. Okay, spring's happening.
So happy
So-
when you see the daffodils
That's
on the
right.
side of the road.
And bulbs are still fairly cheap, so it's nice, just little filler material where you have holes in your garden. So just, pop them in there.
I planted some bulbs this year in my mixed planter, and I know that I'm going to forget. And then come spring, I'm going to be really excited when I see them popping out of
There
there.
is nothing better than forgetting about your bulbs, and then you start seeing them jump and flower and just be awesome. So I planted some pansies. By the way, my pansies are beautiful right now. We've had a great pansy
Mine
season.
are too.
They are really money all over town too. It's just been a great season for pansies. But I put my tulip bulbs up down below them. And like Caroline said, I'm going to forget about them until they start popping.
And then you're going to be so excited when those start coming out.
Money.
My mixed planters look amazing, by the way.
Good for
So
you.
just thought I'd throw that out there. They
mine
look
don't.
great.
The back padding is real.
Back. Oh, I was like, back padding, what? Went over my head for a second. All right, let's get to one more question. Best low maintenance houseplant to give as a gift. So there are quite a few out there. Mother-in-law tongue, Sansevieria, snake plant is a great one. A lot of people kind of steer away from it, but there's so many different options for it. You almost wouldn't believe it. Some that look like succulents. And what's great about them is they're very versatile when it comes to lighting. They can tolerate really, really low light and also higher light and also low water. They can sit dry for months and months at a time and be perfectly fine and not show any stress. So if you're not sure how much of a green thumb that person has, that's a great option. Another one is Aglaonema, which we have some sitting out in front of me in Austin today.
Which one is that?
Let's pan over to Austin's side so we can get him in there. So it's this, display that, Austin. Be my Vanna. Oh, wow. Chinese evergreen is its common name. So you might know it by that. A lot of times you see the leaves are a darker green with silver in the middle, but there's also a lot of pinks and a lot of reds. There's so many different options out there. And this is another plant that can tolerate lower light. So if you want something leafy and something that looks a little bit different than your, typical Sansevieria or a ficus, this is a really great one to give. Austin and I were just talking about how he gave his mother-in-law one. How long ago? Like 2 years?
It's 3, I think, now.
3 years ago.
3? Maybe just 2.
Maybe 5. I don't
Either
know.
way.
But it's
Yeah.
doing great.
I was just telling her, I saw it last night. I was over there eating dinner for my wife's birthday, and I saw it, and it's starting to really look nice. It's in a nice ceramic pot, probably a 10-inch pot, and it's starting to fill it out. I was telling her it's already sent some shoots out from down below, which is kind of how they want to grow. They obviously grow from the top still, but they'll send out shoots from the bottom as well. And she's done a great job with hers. It sits on her kitchen table. It sits close to a window, so it's got really nice, indirect light that comes in and hits it. And she's good with plants, so she's grown it. And like I said, it's filling out its can. It's starting to look good, and it's a great little plant. And plus, it's got pink foliage. I love pink and the plant
You
world.
closed your eyes when you said it.
I just did it again. I
love it so much.
I love pink foliage. It's great. I mean, how weird is that to get pink?
I just have a
pink
question.
Foliage.
Go ahead,
You
David.
cannot lie.
My question is it disrespectful to give your mother-in-law a Sansevieria?
No.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
The the plant better known as the mother-in-law's plant, mother-in-law's tongue, rather. I would think that would be a dissing your mother-in-law ever so slightly. I know you didn't do that, but just a question I'm throwing out there
I'm surprised you sell any of them.
I
sell a
love
lot of
them.
them.
Do
We
you
do
really?
sell a
Why
lot
do you
of
think?
them.
Why do you think they ever came out with mother-in-law's tongue?
I don't know.
What's
It
the
does
point?
have like your typical like higher growing ones like the Laurentii. I mean, they have like an evil tongue look about them, I guess, the way they grow upright.
Is there an alternate common name we should call it if you're going to give it to
Snake
plant.
a mother-in-law?
Snake
Yeah,
plant.
Snake plant. There you go.
Yeah.
That's usually the common name I use here at the nursery is snake plant. But like I said, I love that plant. When I started working here, I was a little about them. And then I, started working with them more. I brought, probably about 20 of them home at this point, and I think they're great. They're a great gift. Aglaonema, again, is a great gift. And then your Christmas cactus. So we're at that time of year where you're going to need to be getting hostess gifts. Maybe, just throwing a little something on your table. And we have so many Christmas cactus in stock right now. When I say that, I'm talking about this pretty little guy right here. Now, when you hear the name cactus, it's not really a true cactus, so it's not going to want that typical cactus care, it doesn't like direct sunlight. In fact, if it gets direct sunlight, it's going to stress the plant too much and cause the leaves to lose their like nice glossy green color, and they're going to turn red and brown. Yes.
I've done that.
Have you?
Oh, buddy.
Austin, do you know the word zygo cactus, which is the actual genus that it's from? I don't know what the zygo part of that word means.
Probably a genetic type thing. And then the zygote something, that's something in genetics.
Yeah.
Something.
Do I remember? No.
But as Caroline just said, it is not a true cactus, but it exhibits many of the similar qualities. If you keep it too wet, you will kill it.
You will kill it, yeah.
But also, it can't go as dry as regular cactus.
Right. It doesn't want to sit dry. It'll show signs of stress, and it'll start dropping its segments. I couldn't think of the word, but it'll start dropping them if it sits too dry. It will also start dropping them and then rot from the base if it sits too wet. So it's kind of a very particular plant that has care unlike any other plant, and they are an epiphyte, I believe. I don't know why my brain's kind of drawing.
And a lot of them can't read a calendar either. I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
Right.
Thanksgiving, Easter, 4th of July. I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
They bloom whenever they want. I mean, it's a matter of how you're treating the plant. So with my Christmas cactus that I've had for years, I put it on my front porch when it's warm outside where it doesn't get direct sunlight. It's just morning sun and then bright indirect light throughout the day. I water it when it needs watering. And then usually as soon as I move it in, it gets a lot less light than it was used to, and it starts pushing those buds, and mine is just about to bloom. So mine would be what most people call a Thanksgiving cactus, because it's going to bloom around Thanksgiving, still the same plant. They just call it that depending on the time of year it's blooming.
Mine looks horrible at the moment.
No.
Absolutely horrible. I brought it in. It is so water stressed. I even thought about watering it last night, but my sink's kind of got some dishes in it, and I was like, I got to take this thing to the sink. Like, it needs like a soaking.
You thought about watering it, but then you didn't.
I didn't, because I needed to do the dishes. But anyway,
You could have hovered it over the dishes.
look, it's been a lot.
Or watered it in the bathroom.
There you
thought
go, the
about that, too.
bathtub.
No.
There's more sinks.
You know
and
what's
tubs
funny
all
is
over
my
your
bathtub
house.
is full of kids' toys. Okay, the bathtub is like, it's worse than the sink with kids' toys, because that's what they do. They love it. So I didn't go that route either. So I let it sit another day. But it's fine. I've had this thing for years. I mean, like, I don't know, probably a decade now. I've had it, and I've let it get so stressed. That's the thing about them, is that they do want a very specific thing. You know, they want specific care, like Caroline was talking about. But if you stray from that a little bit, they're not necessarily going to die. But mine looks like it wants to die. It's really just wilty and kind of like whitish.
Don't let it go.
I won't let it go.
It's really dry.
It's stupid dry. I mean, you can just tell.
It's probably crying right now.
Yes.
That plant's
weeping.
so
It's been abused.
sad.
It's fine. It can toughen up. It's fine.
All right.
Caroline, what is the
Tough love, Kev.
What a,
Yeah,
what
there
a
you go.
treatment.
what is the one that's on the outside to your left? there?
Silver vase bromeliad. This
Oh,
one right
my
here. I
goodness.
know.
Can we get a little
that a-
clearer shot of that, Caroline?
I'm gonna.
Is that a-
bring her
is that a
to
pineapple?
middle. Is that a pineapple plant?
It's a
No, Austin. It is
It's
not
close.
a pineapple plant.
Quasi-pineapple?
This is huge. Look at it compared to Austin's head.
It's about to flop out of its pot. Be
No,
careful.
it's not. It's fine. I know my house plants, and it's not about to flop out of its pot.
That is beautiful, though.
Yes, it is gorgeous.
And it's, I hope it's coming across on Facebook. The color was a little whited out on the screen, but it is an absolutely gorgeous pink.
pink.
it's a very
it's-
punchy, subtle pink.
Yes.
It is. I might need to buy one today. We had a question about bromeliads last week, actually, that we talked about on the show. So if you're like, bromeliad, what is that? And you're still thinking about that question, now you've seen what it is. The question was about the plant reflowering. Now I'm going to have Austin pull up this one that's on his right so we can take a look at that. Because the one I had did not have any pups. So we see the mother, the big plant is blooming right here. Now if you look at the base, you'll see how it's pushing out other little
Babies.
new babies. So no, you will not get another bloom out of the mother, the one that's currently blooming, but its pups will start blooming eventually.
That pot is tiny in comparison to that plant.
They like
wanna
to be
be.
they like to be
rhubarb?
tight.
Okay.
You know, I have a lot of people that come in and they're like, I'm having a problem with my houseplant. The other day somebody was talking about their pothos, and they're like, I bought this pothos and I want it to be really big, and it's having all these problems. It's not growing. It's looking sad. And I was like, well, how big was the the plant when you bought it. And they told me, I was like, well, how big is the pot? And they had put basically a 4-inch plant in a 10-inch pot, thinking that it would just suddenly make the plant grow larger because it's going to want to eat that pot. That's not going to happen. The roots are trying to really go into the soil, and it's not pushing out energy for the leaves to grow and for that plant to get any bigger. And then it's going to cause rot because it's going to sit too moist. So when you see plants that are in small pots, for the most part, they do need to be in a smaller pot, and they're happy when they're nice and snug. So, fun fact right there.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey.
this is a historic moment. We just got our first YouTube question.
Dun, dun, dun. So we must address it.
gosh.
Who's it from?
It's from Horton Monroe. Thank you, Horton, for
Hey,
chiming
Horton.
in. I am watching YouTube. I popped open the app and there it was. Is it too late to plant garlic, shallots, and onions and peonies
Whoa.
right now? I
Ooh,
know.
I planted a peony 2 days ago.
Nice. So that answers your question. Yes. No.
Yes, no.
Yes and no.
Austin.
Which one?
Sorry.
Clarity.
Yes. No. Peonies
No,
totally
stop
fine.
it.
Caroline just did it, so you know it's fine. Yeah, peonies you can definitely plant right now. Garlic, definitely. I planted garlic once in the snow. No joke, in the snow. Totally fine. You got to get that done. Onions and shallots, you can wait. Honestly, that's more of like the biggest thing, issue that you can see with this is like a little bit of too much moisture over the wintertime and too wet. So with onions and shallots, we can just wait. We typically do that like super early spring. So it'll still be cold outside, but we just generally wait on that. I don't know why, to be honest with you. You probably could plant onions and shallots right now. It's just something we don't really do. It's kind of like early spring when we plant our onions and potatoes. That's just kind of like our
Can you tell
thing we
where the
do.
viewer's from? I mean, it may be anywhere in the world.
I
That's
can't,
true.
but
Okay.
we welcome them to
Yes.
chime in.
We'll say if you're in Middle Tennessee, this
Yes.
is what we're talking about, or probably Kentucky, northern Georgia, any of those.
Not
places.
Alabama, though.
Not definitely not Alabama.
Whoa.
Guys,
But yeah, I'm
Or Missouri.
sorry,
You know, Tyler
Tyler's
is from Alabama.
Oh, well,
And
And
so
we
is
still
my
like
not
family.
him.
his fault.
oh my gosh.
Tyler's going to come over here and
Y'all
slap
lay
you.
off the home turf.
I got you. But
All
thanks for
right.
that question.
That was a great question. You were starting to talk about spring versus fall planting. So let's get to one more question. Pros and cons to spring planting versus fall planting as far as trees and shrubs go.
Oh, what a good question. We get this all the time.
Be a smart person that asked that one.
That's right.
I like the pro and con aspect though.
I guess pros and cons. Not, a pro, especially for trees, is that when you do it in the fall versus the spring, is they've got a whole winter to kind of, root in a little bit. The roots are still a little active over them. They're a little bit slowed, but they're still active over the wintertime. So they're kind of latching in, especially with like deciduous trees. And doing it in the fall means they're going to drop all their leaves. Photosynthesis is not actively happening, so they're not like working. They're just kind of chilling. They're dormant. And so that's kind of nice on the person that's planting them because we don't have to worry about watering so much over the winter. I mean, after you plant a deciduous tree in the fall, typically you water it once nice and deeply, and for the most part, you can kind of let it just be dormant over the winter. You don't have to do very much. A con to doing it in the spring is that, if we get like we did this year, or even any time you start getting into the summer with a newly planted tree in the spring, or shrub for that matter, you're probably going to have to water it in the summertime. I mean, not probably, you're certainly
You will.
going to have to water
Yes.
it. So, doing it in the fall is just a little bit easier on you. Now, there are certain plants that prefer to be planted in the spring, or that I would plant in the spring because they're not necessarily as cold hardy. Let's talk about, say, crepe myrtle, for instance. Crepe myrtle isn't always like super, super hardy in our cold. Now, they don't die or anything, but they can suffer dieback. So if I were going to plant a crepe myrtle, I would probably do it in the spring. That way I know that all cold is going to be out of there. They got a full season to root in and leaf out, and then that'll give them a better chance to overwinter for the next season. So really good question. We get it all the time, but for the most part, planting in the fall is fine. And if it is a touchy plant in our hardiness zone, then we will certainly let you know that before you take it
going
home.
in.
Yes.
Now, and the only thing that I can think of that would be a detriment for the fall, and this is a perception issue as much as it is anything, is that sometimes you don't see the tree in its full glory. Like if you look at the tree lot today, the ones that are deciduous, hey man, kind of looks dead.
Looks dead.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're
Sticks
not.
and pots.
So, but the fall has always been much more successful. And speaking of trees, I understand, and I heard a rumor because I get a newsletter once a week from David Bates. There's a sale going on all trees.
Oh yeah, he's here.
Okay. Is there a sale going on all trees, including Japanese maples?
Is my audio again working?
Yes.
There you
we
are.
hear you.
Okay.
We've this has been the morning of technical glitches, and I appreciate Tyler guiding us through the process. But
Okay.
yes, we are indeed having a tree sale on all
Tree
kinds of
sales.
trees. And that does indeed include Japanese maples, which is particularly fortuitous on a day like today, since we have our completely covered connectivity from the checkout all the way down to the greenhouse area. So you literally can come out and shop and never step into the outer door. So if it happens to still be sprinkling or possibly, dare I say, sleeting, the map indicated earlier that could be a possibility. One thing for sure, you'll be in an environment where the wind is knocked off of you. We are still leaving the ends open so that we can ventilate properly. But it will be a much more controlled environment if you need to get in from out of the overhead elements. We have all that in, and Japanese maples are, of course, completely under the cover. So I invite you to come check out our new covered section, and that connects in the I think what has been named, or what I have heard called, foyer, which is the connecting tunnel from the greenhouse, which is Caroline's
I think we
domain.
renamed it the Bates Trium now, but I called it the rear foyer.
Just having a nice ring to it, but that does connect Caroline's domain, the tropicals, to the shade area. And again, it's all inside. And a big thanks to Austin for all the work he's put in on getting the covers
really
put
good,
on that, making all that happen. So thank you, Austin, for that.
No
But no
problem.
matter what you're looking for, any kind of tree, whether it's sitting outside, which a great many of them are, they're all 10% off, including Japanese maple. So come check out our extensive selection. A lot of people are, we don't put Japanese maples on in particular at any discount normally, because, well, they're very hard to come by, and so we just really can't discount them much. But we're doing it this weekend, so if you've got thoughts about a Japanese maple, this is your time to come out. Take advantage of 10% off all trees, and it's not just Japanese maples, it's all the trees we have on the lot. It could be any type of shade, ornamental, fruiting tree, could be a native. Even the crepe myrtles we'll consider trees if you need to get a crepe.
Really?
So we'll go ahead and stretch over into that realm. But anyway, come out and see us. I know it's not a wonderful day to be out and about, but we're going to do what we can, and we have done what we can do to make the conditions as comfortable as possible. As we get on into the winter season, we'll be fully enclosed, and you won't have to weather the cold temperature elements at all. So come out and see us, Bates Nursery and Garden Center. I invite you to check out my blog, and if you go to the website, you can see the new blog post right there in the middle. You just click on that, and it'll take you straight to the post, and that is actually an older one.
Oh,
If you go back to the homepage and scroll to the bottom.
yes.
Oh, okay. You can do it that way.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm not going to do that right now.
No, I don't do that.
But what I'm going to do is just talk about the new talk about my blog. You can just subscribe online right there. Put your name and your email address, and it'll come to you every Thursday at 3:50. And it is
so
a
close.
350 word blog, by the way, not 349.
Not 351.
Exactly 350 words every week to efficiently use your time and hopefully give you some gardening information that you can fully utilize, and share a little bit of my alternate ways I look at things from time to time. So anyway, check that out over at batesnursery.com, or subscribe. And then incidentally, if you decide you don't want it at any point, you can unsubscribe. We don't share your information with anyone. This is just between you and me. So check it out if you like. We'd love to have you on board, as we've got nearly 29,000 other subscribers that do. So check that out over at batesnursery.com. Also, even if you can't come out today at all, you can shop our entire inventory online, and just go to the little glass there, and it'll take you to the search box, or you can just go straight to a heading like trees, and then all
That
of
are
our
on
different
sale.
tree categories are right there. All of those things that are on our inventory, including Japanese maples, those will all come up, and we'll just go to, say, dissectum type Japanese maples, and there's all of those, and we have many to choose from. So, so check the actually that was not the category I was looking. I was the unusual type. This is the lace leaf types here. I picked the wrong one, and those you will see we have.
Those are on sale too.
Different. Those are on sale.
That one's on sale. That one's on sale. That one's on
They're all
sale.
on sale.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's,
All of them.
you know, you mean
On
you're not?
sale.
It's not the bait and switch where you got like one blood good out there.
No.
I mean that's
Oh, we got them.
not that there's anything wrong with the blood good. If
You see it, and it's a tree. It's on sale, 10% off. Bates Rewards members only. And if you're not a Bates Rewards member, it's really easy to sign up. It takes about 30 seconds. And we don't share your information with anyone. It's just between us and you. And you'll get the first word through my newsletter on everything we got going on at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Remember this, we are conveniently located 1 mile north of Briley Parkway. At exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike, which is just minutes from Rivergate Opry Mills, Nashville West, downtown Nashville. And no matter where you're coming from, Josh, even Smyrna,
Yeah.
worth the drive from anywhere. So come see us. We are a proud seller of Earth Mix Garden products, helping you get the best and most predictable results out of your gardening efforts. Check out the Earth Mix we have here and everything at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, our 90th year beautifying Nashville since 1932, our Emerald anniversary. So there we
Tyler.
go.
Y'all
Speaking of-
y'all are snickering worse than Snickers bars.
Whoa.
I was thinking about Japanese maples. Dave was talking about it. Yes, they're all on sale, and we got a lot right now, y'all. Like super, like a lot. We're fully stocked. They look great. But what a year for Japanese maples!
Yes.
My girl Caroline over here has one of the prettiest Japanese maples I have seen. It is. We haven't even been able to identify it yet. It was there before you bought the house.
Yes, it was.
And
It's old.
It's old. It's not all that big. It's really fat. But it's not all that tall. But my God, she sent a video to our group the other day of her walking around it, video of it, and the fall color is stunning. And not just hers. I mean, all around town, you can see Jap maples that are just really showing off, looking great. So, you know, I've got like 4 in the yard. You got to have some. They're just certainly worth
It's
growing.
my favorite. Yeah.
Take your
so
savings and buy some Earth Mix when you come and get one. I mean, seriously. And-
Use all your savings. Spend it on
no,
Earth Mix.
don't use it all. But I mean, you could get a couple of bags on most of these trees for sure. And you need
I
to.
want to go ahead and speak for us all here. We do want to go a little long past the top of the hour this week, right? Because we were 8 minutes
8
late
minutes on the
coming on the air. So
We
are we
can.
all good with that?
I'm great with
Absolutely.
it.
We're
still have some
okay.
questions, I think.
Oh, yeah. We still have some questions.
Yep.
But real quick, I just want to take a little plant tour because I used all pink and white house plants to decorate the green room today.
Cool.
So today's our first cold day. Now we're inside. You probably don't want to be outside gardening. You've had to bring in all your plants or your perennials, annuals, as far as non-cold weather ones go, have all been just, crushed by the snow. It was basically snow this morning by the cold weather. So I've decorated with all houseplants. So as you see, we still have an abundance of plants here at the nursery. My area that I work in with the houseplants is completely full. There is not an empty spot on a table. And we have a lot of flowering plants in stock right now, and we're going to keep getting more in through the holiday season. So right in front, we've got cyclamen, which is one of my favorites. I love it. I wouldn't say it's low maintenance. It can be a little bit sassy.
It ain't low. Yeah, you're right. It's sassy. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. It can be, but it's so pretty. I mean, and the leaves themselves without the blooms are amazing to look at. So we've also got anthurium, which we've got pink, white, and red, and dark purple. So we still got some goth plants in right now. And then right over there, we kept with the pink theme. So just as you see, we still have so many plants that are in bloom. So if you want something that's flowering through the winter, since you can't really walk outside and see your, lantana going wild. You can bring those blooms inside. Nice. All right. So we've got a houseplant question, and I love this houseplant question.
Okay.
Can I cut most of the height off my fiddle leaf and have it regrow? Yes, you can. That's one of my favorite, I wouldn't say favorite things to do. It feels great to cut a fiddle leaf fig in half, for one. Yeah. But also then just watch those leaves push out. So I've done that probably like 4 times now to trees here and ones that I have at my house. If they have problems or we've had them just get way too tall to where they're growing out of the space, what I like to do is I will strip all the leaves off and then cut that tree down and leave just a couple nodes. I mean, you don't want to cut it all the way to the soil. It'll probably push out from the roots, but you won't have that nice thick stem anymore. So I usually go about halfway down. You could even leave a quarter of it depending on how tall it is. But again, you want to look for the nodes. And when I say that, when those leaves, those beautiful large leaves were coming out, that's the spot that you want to make sure you have at least, like, I would say 3 of. And last year I cut one, I would say it was September or October, and it was right when plants are going dormant. And houseplants do like to go dormant. They're not going to grow a whole lot in the winter. So I chopped it, and it took until about April for it to show any signs of life. But I had it sitting there. I knew it was still growing. I watered it every so often. And now it probably grew about 3 to 4 feet over the summer, and it's gorgeous now. So when I chopped it, it just fleshed out. And so it's got that nice single stem, and then it's really bushy up top. Austin's mom has one that you chop on a lot, right?
Yes. Tyler, I sent you a picture.
Yes.
Is there any way you can get a picture up? Or is it too quick?
Tyler's too stressed.
You got to get me way before because
it's such a good picture.
It is really cute.
It is a cute picture.
It's possible I could send it to Josh.
We'll just talk about that while they...
I'm not
What's that, David?
You can text it to me. I could put it up likely.
Okay. Let's do that.
Well, it's a picture of my mother's fiddle leaf fig. I sent it to Caroline so she could see. It's one that I had for a couple years. It came in the nursery, in like a 10-inch pot, and there were 2 fiddle leaf figs in it, actually, which is common practice. They'll stick a couple of them in there to make it look nice and full. Well, me and my buddy at the time who were working here decided we'd go in on it, and we split the cost of it, and then I split it with a Sawzall right down the middle. I gave him a piece of it, and I kept the other one, and I put it in a pot, and I grew it for years. And then I ended up, my mother, actually, I bought a home with my pregnant wife at the time, and my mother let me stay with her for a month while I was fixing up the house and getting it ready to move in and all that.
With the pregnant wife?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But with that came a lot of plants. I had a lot of plants I had to bring to Mama's house, and she helped me out. And so her gift was to keep the fiddle leaf fig because she liked it so much. I let her have it, and she still has it to this day. And yes, like Caroline said, it's gotten big. I know it wants to get big, and this happens a lot with people's fiddle leaves. And I've cut it at least 3 to 4 times from the top. I just take it down to where I want to in the same level all the way across, and just cut the tips. And like she said, keep it at the cut right above a node, so that's where the main stem and a leaf happen at that angle right there. That's where a new leaf will crack. So you want to make sure you keep that. But yeah, I've cut on it. It's in a sunroom, so it gets plenty of light. She keeps it dry like I've told her to, and it's become a beautiful little plant. Hopefully we can get a picture of it here soon. It's also got my 4-year-old daughter in it.
Adorable daughter.
Cute little gal.
Now having computer wars, we're trying to both control computer.
I see something. But yeah, you can definitely cut all ficus for the most part. You can chop on them. I recommend cutting on them, especially if they're older. It promotes new growth, and it makes it look so good.
It's so much better. I mean, almost any plant, y'all, you can cut as long as it's happy and healthy, and it's not like, in decline or, overwatered and looking sickly. If it's a happy and healthy little plant, you can cut on it. It's going to regrow. What do y'all think? You can't just... In nature, if a plant gets damaged by a deer or a bear or a moose, wherever you live, if it gets damaged, it's going to have to regrow. They don't just die. Mm-hmm. So pruning is just another way. There it is.
Oh,
bring that up.
Boy.
That is gorgeous.
What a perfect spot for it, too.
Oh, in the corner of her sunroom.
And what a perfect child. Look at that.
Well, she's far from perfect, but she's my girl. And I love her. But yeah, that's Mama's fiddle leaf fig, y'all. And like I said, I've pruned on it at least 3 to 4 times over the 4 years. It's been 3 years it's been there. And it's got a nice head on it, got a single stem up to a canopy, and that's about 6.5 to 7 feet tall at the top. So
that is a happy camper.
It's a happy camper.
Might even be 2 or 3 of them in that photo. Happy campers.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, happy campers all over.
That's little Marley, by the way. Little Mars
We
bars.
don't know what is this right here at the bottom?
That may be a jade. Is that a jade that's spilling over?
It's hard to
It
see.
looks like
can't
that that cactus, or is it a cactus or succulent?
Oh, it's an aloe, a type of aloe, I think.
Oh,
that
What's
euphorbia.
great is the fact that this is a corner window setting, really a good spot. And this is the missing element that a lot of folks who want to have success in indoor plants are lacking is adequate light.
light.
Yes, and for fiddle leaf figs, the more the better.
And this segues over into Josh's world if you're going to add some windows in, this is the kind of thing that people need to be thinking about is, you might have to cut a hole in the wall and put a extra window around the corner with this.
Chances are
That's the solution.
Now, Austin, I'm going to ask a question. Was that an addition to the house, or was that a sun porch?
That's a sunroom.
I mean, was it always in glass enclosed?
As long as they've had it, yes.
Okay.
So they've been in that house about 10 years now, I think. So they
almost-
bought them that way. Now, my dad's done a lot of work in there.
Yeah.
He redid the roof or the ceiling on it and then the side paneling. He's a pretty handy guy.
Yeah, looking at the spacing and the stuff that's in there, I'd almost go out on a limb and say that was actually a screen room at one point.
It could
in
have
time.
been.
And that's beautiful.
It is.
I'm a little envious of that room.
It's a good looking plant. I am too.
I'm gonna build one at my house. Oh, that would be terrible if I tried to build a sunroom.
Can I? What do we have in the corners over here? Is this a rubber plant, a rubber tree of some sort?
Another ficus.
It's another type of ficus.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Went away.
Oh, is that the
Looks almost like a magnolia.
What are we looking at? Oh, I was like, I don't see one.
Yeah, there's four
Yes,
corners there.
So there's the ruby ficus in the
Oh,
corner.
yeah, right behind me, right here.
Right
Yeah,
behind
right
you.
there.
I was like looking so hard at that photo and I was like, how are they seeing this? Yeah, so that's a ruby ficus. It's got variegation on the leaves. It's very similar to the burgundy. The really, really dark leafed rubber tree is what people call that one.
Okay.
So I love that when the new growth comes out like a deep red and it holds a little bit of a red and kind of turns a pinkish color as it matures. The one thing you have to watch with these, like hybridized variegated ficus and a lot of other variegated houseplants, is that they tend to get leaf spot, and they're a lot more problematic than just your standard solid green or burgundy colored leaf.
Keep them dry.
Keep them dry and don't water the leaves. A lot of people miss their ficus, and I find that to be a big old problem. It's going to cause leaf spot. It's going to just promote a lot of issues. So just water it at the base of the plant once that soil is thoroughly dry. But yeah, that ruby ficus, Taneki ficus is another one that looks very similar to that. Is a great gift for somebody who might want something a little out of the ordinary.
It is unusual. That's what caught my eye about it. Any more questions?
Oh yeah. We got two more.
Okay.
Any advice on pruning an old lilac? Is it okay to thin it out?
Great question. Lilac blooms in the early spring, y'all. So if we're going to prune it now, you're going to miss out on some of those flower buds that are going to form over the wintertime. Certainly good practice to thin one out. If you've got an old one that's getting kind of big and it's got some stems that are just non-productive, you can just tell they're not going to form or they look old and not good, then you can certainly remove those now because they're probably not going to flower on that wood anyway. But if you have a healthy plant that you need to thin out, let's at least let it bloom in the springtime, get your good show, and then after that, let's thin it out. So great question. But yeah, you want to wait. And, if you really want a good flower power, then go ahead and wait a little while.
Flower power. All right, our final question is not about flowers. It's about mulch. Hardwood mulch versus pine mulch.
What do you like?
Yeah, pretty
I
much,
like pine
Josh.
mulch better.
Yeah,
The look of it.
shredded
Bark
pine. Shredded pine is becoming really popular. Actually, I know a lot of different landscapers like using it. It's pretty easy to spread. It covers a lot.
I feel like it holds better than hardwood, than brown hardwood. I could be wrong.
I
I've used
think-
both, and I like how hard or pine. Yes,
Nuggets?
pine mulch. Looks
I think it
over
smells
time.
a little better. I mean, regular old hardwood mulch
It
doesn't
definitely
smell very good.
smells better.
Yeah.
But the hardwood will stay in place better, but it is much easier to spread. I mean, from a labor standpoint, you just kind of hit it with a rake and it flies in the direction you're going. Whereas with shredded materials, you have to somewhat place it a little bit more. It takes
Yep.
a little more dealing with it. However, as a straight out mulch, the shredded mulch is a better moisture holding component. However, on the negative side, on pine, it is very easily scattered. So if you
Yeah,
have
boy.
water that runs through a bed area or anything like that, it can be washed out pretty easily. So there are pros and cons both directions.
What about the
So-
10,000 mile rubber mulch? I mean, the steel belted variety, they still sell that?
How about rubber mulch?
Yeah, rubber mulch.
Actually, I don't know if the 10,000 mile rotation warranty still applies.
Okay.
Rubber mulch, I haven't seen that in the marketplace for quite a number of years now. And I think that people finally came to the realization that it's not a good mulch. There are better things to do with recycled tires.
Mm-hmm.
Mulch is not one of them. That's my opinion. And I think the opinion of others. They did not, although it's permanent.
It will never break down and build your soil.
That's right.
No, it will never do that, and it will never stop smelling like tires.
Nope.
Yeah. Especially on hot days.
You feel like you're going to work at a tire changing facility every day. So, not a great choice.
It's like, they were clever. They were clever at getting rid of those tires, but not quite.
It is good for like a kid's playground or something. I'll give you that.
Not bad.
I mean, it's okay for that.
Making doormats out of, or I've seen bumper blocks made out of old. There's a whole manner of repurposing of those materials, but that mulch experiment was not a good one.
But you take the tire and you turn it inside out and you stack them up and then you paint them. I mean, that's a great planner too, isn't it, David?
They used to cut those with a razor knife to make like a flared end on them and have a round base.
Very popular in Alabama, I hear.
Back in the 70s. Well, we about run through it all, haven't we?
I think we have. He's cutting us off now. There was another Alabama shot. So, all righty, folks. Hey, Sledge-O-Matic. Gonna miss you, man. I'll tell you what. If you never saw Gallagher, go find it on YouTube. You will enjoy it. Hey, forever.
Thank you for going to all the distance today. You made it happen.
Stress. You can tell that he's sweating. It's over there.
We need your voice.
Yes. Yeah, so honey, lemon. All right, folks. Hey, we do appreciate your patience with the show this morning. Go out to all the social media. Thank you for commenting on YouTube. Finally, we appreciate it.
YouTube, we see you. Like and subscribe and stick with us. We're here to answer your questions.
Absolutely. All the social media.
Tell neighbors, all that.
Yep. Wake the dog, shake the neighbors. Everything's good to go. Hey, next Saturday morning, we're going to come back to it, and we're going to do another at-home show. Hopefully, we'll get kicked off 0800, but we'll see you then one way or another.